Okay, guys, so we are actually going to dive into Secret Warriors Volume 3, written by Jonathan Hickman. Now, when it comes to this book right here, it does continue the idea of us trying to figure out what is Leviathan, but at the same time, we do learn origins about different characters who are involved in this entire storyline. A lot of origins for characters from Hydra, but at the same time, we do learn some other things about Nick Fury's past and also his possible connection to Leviathan, but at the same time, Baron von Strucker as well. And so this book is just packing with a whole lot more clues that Jonathan Hickman is trying to give us, but at the same time, we're going to ask a few more questions for future videos down the road. It's a great story, but so much is happening and so many origins. But let's go ahead and dive into today's video. And so getting into today's video, we actually pick up with Nick Fury. Now, when we do, it's Nick Fury right now waking up Daisy Johnson. Remember, Daisy Johnson is technically the field leader for Secret Warriors. She actually works for Nick Fury, but out in the field, she's the one who calls the shot. But apparently it's Nick right now telling her they're going on some kind of trip. So get up and let's get ready to go. And so that is the moment where we do jump over to the home of Silver Samurai. Now, when it comes to Silver Samurai, the last time we saw him was back in Volume 1, where he was giving away a box. Now, we had no idea what is inside the box, but apparently the box was holding a very special item, and he gave the box over to Viper. Now, the reason why I'm bringing up the box right now, because in his own house, he's being attacked right now by a group of people that actually work for Leviathan. They're just a bunch of henchmen. Either way right now, they came to his house looking for the box. But of course, once they're able to actually defeat him and read his mind, they realize that the box is no longer in his possession, which is correct because right now the box is with Viper, one of the 5 big bosses of Hydra. And so you can tell they're very upset about the idea that the box is not here with him anymore. Now that is the moment where we actually do jump over to Gorgon and Viper. Now when we do, of course we have to remember that these two characters are both bosses when it comes to Hydra. They're both 2 of the 5 bosses of Hydra. Either way right now, you do have the 2 characters right now talking about one of their new projects, the Dreadnought Medusa. And apparently it's a very special project that's going to help them out in their war against other people who are trying to stop them. Now, while you have the 2 characters actually talking to one another, you then have Viper realize that what Gorgon wants. That Gorgon wants war. Like he wants to go to war against all his enemies and actually defeat them. Now, when it comes to Viper though, Gorgon realized that she does not want war. And matter of fact, she tells him, no, I don't want war. I want more for my destiny. Now, you would think that that line right there is a throwaway line, but honestly, it's not a throwaway line. That line right there is going to be very important for this storyline. And you'll see what I mean as we go through this book actually. Now, after Viper and Gorgon had their conversation, you didn't have Gorgon actually call one of his servants to his room. Now, of course, this may seem like he wants to have some alone time with this servant because it's just him and her going to his private room. And matter of fact, at first when I saw this section, I actually thought that. Either way, when they do go into his private room, well, that is the moment she realized that there are a lot of statues in the room. But also these statues are women. Now, guys, we have to remember that when it comes to Gorgon powers, if you look into his eyes, you're basically turned to stone. And so right now that means these other statue figures are past women who were invited into his private room and then he just turned to stone. And so when it comes to this new servant who at first thought that she's going to have some alone time with Gorgon, well, that is the moment he reveals his eyes to her. And of course, she looked into his eyes and now she's been turned into stone. Now, after that, that is the moment he does look at a blade. Now, this blade is actually very important because it kind of goes back into his origin story, but also how he was able to join Hydra 6 years ago. And so that is the moment where we actually do jump back 6 years ago. Now, when we do, we actually pick up with Gorgon right now being confronted by Commander Kraken. Now, remember, in the present day, Kraken is actually another leader of Hydra as well, along with Gorgon and Viper. Either way, when it comes to Kraken, he's right now coming to actually talk to Gorgon about joining Hydra. Now, when Kraken arrived at the home of Gorgon 6 years ago, Gorgon apparently had used his own powers on his own family, and so his entire family had been turned to stone. Now, you do have Gorgon tell Kraken that if he feels like Kraken's here to kill him or possibly hurt him, he'll do the same thing to Kraken like he did to his family. Except that is the moment you have Kraken say, you can try that, but you will fail because my helmet prevents your powers from actually working on me. But the real reason why I'm here is to give you something very important. And so that is the moment we do see Kraken actually give Gorgon a blade known as the God Killer. And apparently the reason why it's called the God Killer because it killed kings, emperors, and made a god bleed. Either way, it's a way for Kraken saying, listen, you need this blade to build your destiny. I'm not trying to stop your destiny. I'm trying to help you reach your destiny. And so that was the moment where Gorgon had actually joined Hydra. And so back in the present day, when we saw him look at a blade, that blade was the God Killer blade that was given to him by Kraken. And so that is the moment where you do have Jonathan Hickman remind us about Yo-Yo. Remember, Yo-Yo is one of the members of Secret Warriors, but she got badly injured in one of our first storylines. Matter of fact, she lost both of her arms. Now, with that being said, she was in a coma, but even then, she was also in recovery and also getting robotic arms. Now, because she was in recovery, she was unable to actually communicate with her mother. And so right now we see Yo-Yo and Stonewall going to see her mother because her mom is probably so worried about her daughter because she has not heard from her daughter in who knows how long. Now, Yo-Yo is scared to go see her mom because now she has robotic arms. But it's Stonewall saying, listen, you should go see your mom because you have not actually talked to her in so long. But on top of that, she may be very concerned about your robotic arms, but at least she'll know that her daughter is still alive. Now, Yo-Yo does agree to do this, but only if Stonewall goes to see his father as well. Problem is though, his father is actually in prison. And matter of fact, we are going to learn who is his father down the road in this video. And so that is the moment where we actually jump back over to Gorgon. Now, the reason why, because remember, there is Leviathan out there right now, and apparently they're trying to look for the box. Now, they already attacked Silver Samurai, but after that, they did go over to the base that belongs to Gorgon, the Hydra base. Now, of course, they're going there to also look for more clues about the box, because they believe that they'll be able to actually take on Gorgon. And so when they do arrive at his Hydra base, and of course, they do locate him, he's not scared at all. And matter of fact, he welcomes the challenge. He's all like, please, bring it on so I can just cut you guys down left or right and make y'all bleed. Because y'all made a huge mistake coming into my place. So let's go right now. And so that is the moment where we actually do jump over to Nick Fury and Daisy Johnson finally again. Now remember, apparently they were going on some trip, and we come to find out their trip was to go to a secret base, which is called Hotspot, secret base number 13. Now when it comes to this base, that is the moment you have Daisy Johnson being introduced to two new characters that she has not met yet. Dum Dum Dugan and Olivia Hooks. Now those two characters honestly are not that important. It's the next two characters that are actually very important, which will be Alexander Pierce and also Mikkel, Nick Fury's son. Now the reason why these two characters are actually very important is because these two characters right now, they run other groups like Daisy does, other groups of secret warriors. And right now, they all been assigned to do different things. But it's Nick saying, your three groups, Daisy, Alexander, and Mikkel, it's time to bring y'all groups together because right now a huge storm is coming and I need all hands on deck for this huge storm. Now that is the moment where we actually do jump back over to Gorgon. Now when we do jump back over to Gorgon, he's right now still fighting against the forces of Leviathan. Now while fighting against them, that is also the moment where you do have the group of Leviathan actually give us more information about their group. And apparently right now their bosses, their masters as they call them, are right now asleep. And apparently they have been asleep for a very long time. But sooner or later they're going to wake up. And the reason why they're here right now attacking this Hydra base is to one, get the box, but two, also gain information about this new world from the mind of Gorgon. Because when their masters wake up, they're going to wake up to a new world, a whole brand new kind of society. Now, with that being said, Gorgon's kind of like, no, you will not take anything out of my head at all. And of course, he does kill every single one of them in his room. Now, as soon as he does that, he realized, wait a second, I'm not the only person on this base right now. There's also Viper as well. And the problem is though, when he does realize that and runs down to see if Viper is okay, Viper has now been kidnapped by Leviathan and they fly away. And so now one of the 5 Hydra bosses has been kidnapped and taken away by this new evil group. Now that is the moment where we actually jump back over to Yo-Yo and Stonewall. Now with that being said, remember, when it came to Yo-Yo earlier in the video, she had to go see her mother. Now that was part of a deal between these two characters. And so because she actually did that, now Stonewall has to go see his father. The thing is though, like I said earlier, his father is in prison. And so of course they have to go to that prison so that he'll be able to actually meet his father. Now with that being said though, when it comes to Stonewall, he's one of the characters we had no idea where he came from. And what I mean by that is, when it came to Secret Warriors, literally every single character that was brought in by Daisy and Nick, apparently those characters had a connection to another Marvel character in some kind of way. But when it came to Stonewall, we had no idea who was his connection. Where did his powers come from? And we come to find out they come from the Absorbing Man. He is the father of Stonewall. Now we do have another flashback. As a matter of fact, we do jump back 6 years in the past. Now when we do, this is a way for us to actually learn about the origin of Hive, because Hive is another boss of Hydra. Now when it comes to Hive, we're still kind of left wondering more information about his past. But we do learn that when it comes to Hive, apparently he was recruited because he was a weak-bodied person, but it made him the perfect host for some kind of parasite that was produced by Kraken. And so once the parasite was able to actually attach onto the young man's body, of course, that person evolved and he turned into the creature we have today in the present day, the Hive, one of the 5 bosses of Hydra. And so getting back to the present day, we actually do pick up with the rest of the Hydra bosses right now meeting up. And the reason why they're meeting up right now is all because of Viper being kidnapped, but on top of that, because somehow Leviathan was able to access Gorgon's Hydra base, which is something that should not happen so easily. And so right now it's Gorgon saying, we have a traitor in our group. Someone high up in the ranking, possibly one of us. But the question is right now, who? Who is the traitor? And so right now you have each boss try to say, no, it's not me. But of course you can't believe that. And so you have Kraken say, you know what? I have the best idea. I am going to use our psychics to read our minds to figure out who is the traitor. And once they do that, we'll find out who is actually the person right now betraying our organization. Now that is the moment where we do jump back over to Nick, Alexander, Mikkel, and also Daisy. Now when we do, it's Nick right off the bat saying that this meeting right now between all 3 groups is going to be a one-time thing. just in case there's some kind of breach down the road, the other groups will not be affected at all. Now, with that being said, he wants each group right now, each leader of each group to right now share their information about their assignment. Now, when it comes to Daisy, honestly, she has no information to actually share. And the reason why, because her team is more the attack team, and that is why. Now, with that being said, we come to find out that when it comes to Pierce, apparently his team was assigned to look for different Hydra bases. And of course, he did find a few of them. Now, when it comes to Mikkel, his assignment was to get any kind of information about Leviathan. The problem is, though, he can't find anything at all. Like, once he gets one small clue and try to follow that clue to hopefully get more information about Leviathan, it leads into a dead end. Now, that is the moment you have Nick kind of give us the idea of what Leviathan actually is. Now, that is the moment where you do have Nick try to explain that when it comes to Hydra, Hydra is technically the leftover pieces of Imperial Japan, but also the fascists of Germany. Now, that is actually Hydra. But when it comes to Leviathan, they are technically the leftover pieces of the Soviet Union. Now, the problem is, though, when it came to Leviathan, they had 100,000 agents. But then one day, they all just disappeared just like that, gone. And no one knows what exactly happened to them. But then we jump over to one of the bases of Leviathan. Now, when we do, we actually see the leader of this group right now trying to get more information about the box out of Viper. Now, when it came to Viper, she did get the box from Silver Samurai, but she didn't hand the box over to Madam Hydra, another boss in the Hydra group. And so with that being said, she has no idea where the box is actually at. Now, when it comes to this leader, he's very upset about the idea that their plans right now are being delayed left and right. And so to kind of move their plans along a tad bit faster, he tells his henchmen, okay, you know what? It's time to wake the beast. And that is the moment we kind of find out that this base is holding so many different members of Leviathan in some kind of containers, and of course they're kept in stasis, which means that when Nick Fury said there were 100,000 agents, they all disappeared one day and no one knows where they went to, bam, they're right here right now. They are all kept in this base right now in some kind of stasis, but now they're being waken up into the new world to begin the process of actually taking over the new world. Now, getting into the third chapter, that is the moment where we actually pick up with Nick Fury right now on his jet as he talks to Dum Dum Dugan. Now, right now, it's just Nick telling Dugan that he's going to use one of his special teams as a way to back up the Howling Commandos, the private military team that Dugan runs. Now, right after that conversation, we do see Dugan talk to some other characters right now about the idea that if they actually trust Nick Fury's plan. Now, they do trust his plan. The problem is, though, they're afraid that his plan could cause an international incident, which could cause a lot of problems for other countries around the world. Now, that is the moment where we do jump back over to Nick Fury. Now, when we do see Nick right now be confronted by Daisy. And the reason why, because right now Daisy is actually very upset with Nick. Now, the reason why she's upset with Nick right now, because Nick actually told her that she needs to remove a certain person off her team. And of course, that will be Druid. Now, the reason why he is saying that, because he feels like Druid is not ready to be a hero at all. Matter of fact, he feels like Druid could most likely be the reason why somebody might get hurt down the road or innocent people could possibly die. And so it's Nick telling her, you need to remove him off your team now. But she says no, because this is my team. When we're out in the field, I'm in charge, and I feel like I know who's right for the team or who's not right for the team. And right now, I feel like Druid is still great for the team, no matter what you say. And so, no, I am going to keep him on the team. Now, Nick is going to agree with her, but he does tell her, listen, you're going to realize I'm right when someone gets seriously hurt down the road. And when that happens, that's when you're going to realize that you should have listened to me. Now that is the moment where we do jump over to Madam Hydra and also Gorgon. Now remember, when it comes to Madam Hydra, she's one of the bosses of Hydra as well. But right now you're having her leave the Hydra base. Now that is a huge no-no. And the reason why, because she was not cleared to actually leave yet. And the reason why I'm saying that, because remember what Kraken said earlier, right now he is going to use the psychic team as a way to read the minds of every single boss of Hydra to make sure nobody is actually a traitor at all. But Madam Hydra has not been cleared yet. And so it does seem very sketchy that right now she is trying to leave. And the Gorgon, he wants to know if he should actually stop her or let her go. But what she tells Gorgon is that she feels like right now they're wasting time doing these tests, because the longer Viper is held by them, the more their secrets could get out. And so it's her saying, no, I need to go find Viper to keep our plans in secret. So goodbye, Gorgon, and good luck. Now that is the moment where we do get another flashback. Now, when it comes to this flashback, we actually do pick up right now with Baron von Strucker on Hydra Island. Of course, an island that belongs to him. Now, with that being said, right now we do see Baron von Strucker having dinner with his children. Now, while they're having dinner, that is the moment you have Kraken appear. Now, this established that when it comes to Baron von Strucker and Kraken, they are very close friends. Now, with that being said though, Kraken is right now coming to Baron von Strucker with some sad news. Right now, it's Kraken telling Baron von Strucker, hey man, listen, I'm dying. Like sooner or later, I'm going to die. That is my sad news. Now for Baron von Strucker, he can't believe that his old friend is actually going to die. But either way, he does tell his dear friend, before you die, we are going to accomplish our goals, especially the one where we killed off Nick Fury. Now that is the moment where we do jump over to Nick and Daisy arriving back to the home base of the Secret Warriors. Now when they do that, of course, that is the moment where they do debrief the rest of the team about everything about Hydra and also Leviathan. Now with that being said, that is also the moment where you have Nick tell the team that, listen, in your bedrooms, there are going to be some very special instructions. And I need you guys to follow those instructions, because those instructions are going to tell you how you're going to travel to our next mission spot. So make sure you pack your clothes up, but also grab that paper and follow the directions on the paper. And so you have each member go to the room, they get their clothes, but they also get that paper. Now here comes the problem though, Druid. Because when it comes to Druid, Nick said, sorry Druid, you're off the team. Go home. You can't be a good hero, a good fit for this team. Now this is going to be a huge problem. And the reason why, because Nick just told Daisy, fine, if you feel like Druid can stay on the team, then Druid can stay on the team. But now this is Nick saying, nope, I'm sorry, I lied. It's my team, my decision, and I feel like Druid should be off the team. And matter of fact, he is off the team. Bye-bye, Druid. Just like that. And so that is the moment where we do jump over to Madam Hydra. Now, when we do, we come to find out that Madam Hydra is actually a traitor. She's working for Leviathan, which honestly, it was so obvious. Either way, though, when she does arrive, Viper cannot believe that Madam Hydra is the traitor. But on top of that, Madam Hydra is about to give Leviathan the one thing they've been looking for in this entire storyline. And of course, it is the box. And so now she can hand over the box to say, listen, this proves that I'm trying to work with you guys. I am part of Leviathan. And this just got a tad bit crazier. And so that is the moment where we jump into the 4th chapter. Now, when we do, we actually do pick up with Nick Fury right now and Daisy having that conversation about the idea that Nick just let go of Druid. Now, to Daisy, she's very upset because we saw earlier, Nick gave her the ability to make the decision on Druid. And she said, because I'm field leader, I feel like he should stay on my team. He's a great fit for my team. And Nick said, fine, I will listen to you. But as we saw in the last chapter, Nick didn't do that. He went behind her back. And so right now it's her saying, why did you do that? And Nick said, listen, when I gave you the ability to make that big time decision, I was really hoping you'll make the right one. Of course, you made the wrong one. And so I had to step in because Drew could get someone hurt down the road or possibly innocent people hurt down the road. And so I had to step in before things got bad down the road. Now, once Nick leaves, you can see how angry Daisy is, and this could begin a rift between the two characters. Now, with that being said, that is the moment you have Hellfire come in. And when Hellfire comes in, you have Hellfire say, listen, you know what? Let me take you for a drink because right now you need one. But then we jump back over to Leviathan's base. Now, when we do, of course, we do pick up where we left off at last time with this group, where right now you have Madam Hydra handing over the box to Leviathan. Now, here comes the big thing, because Viper realized that Madam Hydra is a traitor, that Madam Hydra is working with Leviathan. But on top of that, it's Madam Hydra saying, Viper, listen, you have no idea. I was never close to you or anyone else when it came to Hydra. And matter of fact, I never truly cared for Hydra. Hydra was just a tool for me to use to help out my organization, Leviathan. Now, with that being said, though, that is also the moment where you have Madam Hydra pull a gun out and shoot and kill Viper. Viper dies just like that. And then you have Madam Hydra say, I'm no longer Madam Hydra. You may call me Contessa Valentina. And remember, Contessa Valentina is an old lover of Nick Fury. So Nick has no idea that Contessa has been working for Hydra, but he definitely does not know that she's also working for the Leviathan as well. When he does find out, it's going to be a whole lot of mess. Now, that is the moment where we do jump back 15 years in the past. Now, when we do, we actually pick up with a younger Contessa. Now, right now, we do see Contessa about to hang out with her parents. The problem is, though, there was an explosion. And with that explosion, of course, it killed off her parents. Now, 2 days later, we do see her at a church crying about the death of her parents. But while doing that, well, that is the moment she is confronted by a mysterious man. Now, we have no idea who this guy is, but we do know that Contessa does know him very well. And same for her, he knows her very well. Either way right now, you have the guy come to Contessa, and as soon as she sees him, she wondered where was he at? And the reason why, because of paperwork. Because that is the moment we kind of find out she had to do paperwork on her parents because her parents were undercover agents. Now, we have no idea for who, but apparently they were. And so this guy said, listen, I'm going to need you to carry on your parents' work. But if you do that, I promise you a very high rank in our future organization down the road. Oh, I also want to inform you, because now you're going to be an undercover agent, I'm going to need you to actually work for this American group, because I heard they're going to offer you something very big very soon. And he was right, because a week later, dumb dude comes around. He's all like, hey, listen, I want you to join S.H.I.E.L.D. And so technically, this entire time when Contessa was on S.H.I.E.L.D., she was actually a spy for this unknown organization. And again, it could have been Leviathan. We still have no idea. But now we know the entire time she was basically a traitor. Now, that is the moment where we actually jump over to Daisy and Hellfire having that drink. Now, while they're having that drink, of course, it gives Daisy the chance to actually express her feelings about Nick Fury, and not in a positive way, more in a negative way, because honestly, she cannot stand the guy at all. Either way, though, while she's actually talking to Hellfire about Nick Fury, well, that is the moment she wonders, hey, Hellfire, why is your name JT? What does JT stand for? And he tells her it's James Taylor. And of course, apparently his mom named him after some kind of big time rock band person, whatever. Either way, that's the reason he was named JT, or James Taylor. Now, that is the moment you have Daisy ask Hellfire, why are you still on the team? And he tells her the only reason why he's on the team, because of her. And this begins a love story between these two characters in this series now. But that is the moment where we do jump over to Contessa. Now, when we do, we actually see Contessa right now technically changing clothes. Now, when she does change clothes, it's a way to say that she's now going to show her true colors, to say that she has always been with Leviathan this entire time. Now, on top of that, that is the moment where you do have Contessa basically say, you know what? Let me tell you guys about Hydra. And of course, that is the moment she says, listen, when it comes to Hydra, their weapons are very advanced, and that could be a huge problem. But the thing is, their recruitment numbers are very low. And so right now, Hydra is technically an easy target. Now, that is the moment you do also have Madam Hydra hand over the box. And when she does, we do see one of the members of Leviathan use the item inside the box to wake up one of the stasis tubes. And when they do that, of course, we get the actual leader of Leviathan, Orion. He walks out and says, okay, it's good to be back. It's good to be back in charge of my group. And so now Leviathan has one of their masters, or their true master. Either way right now, you have Orion saying, it's time for us to attack Baron von Strucker, but to also attack Nick Fury as well. And so you have Leviathan begin the attack on Nick Fury first, because that is the moment you have Nick Fury get a text from Contessa asking to have dinner. Now remember, when it comes to Contessa, she was a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent, and matter of fact, she was a close ally of Nick Fury. But on top of that, when it comes to Contessa and Nick, well, they were lovers. And so, of course, when she texts, hey, let's have dinner, at first, it's Nick like, yeah, I'm down. It's the woman I love asking for food. Let's do it. But at the same time, though, he's kind of like, something seems very sketchy about this entire thing. But of course, he will go to the dinner. And so that is the moment where we jump into the 5th chapter. Now, when we do, that is the moment where we actually pick up with the Secret Warriors right now playing cards. Now, with them playing cards, of course, they have a conversation about the idea of bringing back Druid. Now, of course, when it comes to most of the team, they agree that they should bring back Druid. The problem is, though, they know they need Nick Fury's permission to actually do it. And that is the huge problem, because Nick Fury is most likely gonna say no. Now, that is the moment where you have Stonewall say, listen, y'all, I feel like Nick Fury has the potential to have us reach our full potential, but we have to begin to trust him. But on top of that, we have to start working like a family, because that is our biggest problem. We're not working like a family. And with that right there, we could technically all die down the road because we're not actually bonding with one another. So we should actually change that right now. But then you have Daisy ask for a vote. Should they bring back Druid? Because if they get enough votes and it's yes, then it should go to Nick Fury and say, you need to bring back Druid. Now that is the moment where you have everybody vote. When everyone votes, Phobos disagrees. He says, listen, Druid was not a good fit at all. But on top of that, I know Nick Fury. He does not care what you guys think. You may all vote to bring him back in, but Nick will still say no. And so it's Daisy right now saying, I'm going to prove you wrong, Phobos. Now that is the moment where we actually do see the Hydra bosses go to the base of Leviathan. Matter of fact, one of their bases. And the reason why I say one of their bases is because when the Hydra bosses actually arrive at that base, Leviathan is gone. They left the base behind. It's completely abandoned. On top of that, they left the dead body of Viper. And that right there is huge, because now they know one of their own is dead. Now, with that being said, that is also the moment where they do find a message that was left behind for Baron von Strucker. And the reason why, because we kind of find out Baron von Strucker and Orion, they have some kind of connection between each other. Now, we have no idea what this connection is, but once the message is played, you have Orion say, it's about time for us to actually meet. And matter of fact, I'll meet you at the Crown in 3 days from now. And so now we know that they're going to have some kind of big meeting. But the big question is, what is the connection between Baron von Strucker and also Orion? Now, that is the moment where we actually do pick up with the origin of Viper. So we go back in time and we kind of find out that when it comes to Viper, at a very young age, she was actually recruited by Hydra. And matter of fact, they put young girls in these houses. There were 8 houses and each house had 12 girls. But if you wanted to show Hydra that you were the best fit to join, you had to beat every single girl in your house. And so at the end of the time for Viper, she was the last girl at her house. And of course, she did join Hydra and then she did move up the ranks. Now, we do also see other memories of Viper from her past. And honestly, most of them are not important for this storyline. But back in the present day, we actually do see Viper coming back to life, because it seems like Hive was able to share a parasite to go inside her body to bring her back to life. But when she does come back to life, she says, no, do not call me Viper anymore. Call me Madam Hydra. I am now going to replace Contessa as Madam Hydra for the Hydra organization. Now, that is the moment where we actually jump back over to the dinner between Nick Fury and Contessa. Now, when it comes to this dinner, it's really more of Contessa doing what Leviathan had told her to do something with Nick Fury. Now, that is the moment where she does bring out a lot of guys with guns, which of course does tell Nick, okay, this was supposed to be a trap. Now, to Contessa, she thinks she has Nick Fury right where she wants him. But this is Nick Fury. The dude is always prepared for almost anything. And so that is the moment you have Nick say, nope, here's my guys and their guns as well. And you have all these guys stand up and point their guns at Contessa and her fellow members of Leviathan to show that Nick Fury is always prepared. Now, of course, you do have both sides call it truce, because they realize that not either side could technically win this battle. Now, while Nick leaves, he does tell Contessa one thing. He says, listen, I want you to remember that I bought you those flowers. And then he walks away. Now, that line right there could be a throwaway line, but knowing Jonathan Hickman, that line is going to be somewhat important. Now, that is the moment where we actually do jump back over to Nick Fury, going back to the base of the Secret Warriors. Now, when he does arrive back at the base, of course, that is the moment where you have Daisy coming to him and saying, hey man, listen, I feel like you made a huge mistake letting Druid go. Now, when it comes to Nick Fury, he feels like he never makes mistakes at all. And so he tells her once again, listen, Druid is off the team. It's final. And I need you to wake up because I'm trying to get you ready for something big to come down the road. But unfortunately, you're too blind to actually see what I'm trying to do for you right now. And so when I say Druid is off the team, Druid is off the team, and that is final. And you have Nick Fury just walk away. Now, that is the moment where we do see Daisy actually go tell the rest of the team that what Nick Fury just told her, that Druid is off the team forever. Either way, though, that is the moment where she does turn her attention over to JT, Hellfire. Now, let's not forget, at the end of the last chapter, he told her that the only reason why he's on the team still, why he has not left the team yet, is because of her, because he has feelings for her. And so this is her right now saying, I'm going to take charge and see how much you really do care for me. And so that is the moment we do see her actually kiss JT. And so this begins their relationship in this series. Now, that is the moment where we actually jump into the final chapter. Now, when we do, we have to jump forward 2 weeks since the ending of the last chapter. And when we do, we actually pick up right now with Nick Fury meeting up with the team leaders of the 3 teams that he runs. So, of course, Daisy, Mikkel, and also Alexander. But that is the moment where you do have Nick tell his team leaders, hey guys, listen, something big just happened. And what he means by that is, in the 2-week gap between the end of the last chapter and the beginning of this chapter, something big happened. And the question is right now, what happened in the 2 weeks gap? We don't know yet. Now, that is the moment where you do have the story actually jump back 10 days in the past. Now, when we actually do pick up right now with the big meeting between Hydra, but also with Leviathan. Now, with that being said, you only have the team leaders arriving to this meeting. So, of course, you have Baron von Strucker and you also have Kraken. Now, on the other side, you have Orion appearing. You also have Contessa, but you also have a character known as the Magadan. And I really hope I pronounced that correctly. Either way, the three leaders of Leviathan are here right now for the big meeting between Hydra and also Leviathan. Now, that is the moment where we actually do jump back in time even farther. Matter of fact, we jump back 2 years in time. And when we do, we actually pick up with the original Kraken. And of course, this Kraken is Daniel Whitehall. Now, here comes the big shocker because this man right now is laying in bed dying. And matter of fact, the only reason why he's still alive is because of the machines that are keeping him alive. But that is the moment he is confronted by a mysterious character. Now, this mysterious character is actually here because apparently he read the journals of Daniel. And because of that, he now knows the true history of Daniel. Daniel being the original Kraken, but also knows how the armor actually works. And so our mysterious character actually grabs the helmet, puts it on, and he becomes the new Kraken of the Marvel Universe. But on top of that, he turns off the machines that are keeping Daniel alive. And so just like that, Daniel is now officially dead. But then we jump back to the point of time where we actually do see Hydra and also Leviathan having that meeting. Now, when it comes to their meeting, of course, the meeting does not go as planned because right off the bat, you do have both sides show that they actually hate one another. But on top of that, that is the moment where you actually have Orion tell Baron von Strucker that he wants Hydra to actually fall in line, meaning that he wants Hydra to actually take orders by him. Now, of course, you have Baron von Strucker say no. Now, right before a fight breaks out, that is the moment where you have Contessa realize that Viper is alive again. Matter of fact, she's shocked to see that Viper is alive again. But either way, because you have Baron von Strucker tell Orion no about the idea of Hydra taking orders by Orion, it does lead into a big fight between both sides. And so back in the present day, that is the moment where we kind of find out that Nick Fury was telling all three team leaders about what happened between Hydra and also Leviathan. And he says that even though a war had broke out between two sides, no one actually died in the war, meaning that when it comes to the team leaders of both sides, they both survived the big battle. But right now it's Nick saying this is the perfect time to actually attack, because while both sides are right now trying to recover after their big battle between one another, it's the perfect time to actually take out both groups. And so right now it's Nick saying, all three teams, get ready. It's time for us to attack Hydra, but to also attack Leviathan as well. It's about to go down. Now, because it was 2 weeks since the ending of the 5th chapter, we do establish the idea that Hellfire and Daisy Johnson are actually dating one another. And so they are officially a couple now at this point in the storyline. But this right here is going to be very crucial for later parts or later videos we're going to do down the road. Now, that is the moment where we do jump over to Nick Fury. Now, when we do, we actually see Nick Fury right now with Dum Dum Dugan, James Garrett, and also a professor. We're not told who this guy is just yet, but either way right now, you do have all four men meeting up and discussing about something big to happen down the road. And of course, it's Nick Fury right now asking all three men, are you okay with what we're about to do? Because if you're not, this is the best time to actually back out. And of course, you have all three men agree with Nick Fury's future master plan. But this is where I'm going to leave you guys on one heck of a cliffhanger, because that is the moment where you actually have Hellfire, of course, the new boyfriend of Daisy, get a text saying it's time to meet. And so that is the moment we come to find out that Hellfire goes to a bar. And when he goes to the bar, well, we find out that Homeboy is actually a traitor. He's working for Baron von Strucker, which means that Nick Fury has no idea, or he might have an idea, that someone else on his team is actually a spy. Once again, Nick is being played by Hydra like he was his entire life. Either way, right now, this could cause a lot of problems down the road. But with that being said, this is where we are going to end today's comic book video. So please leave me a like down below and subscribe. But guys, I'll see y'all next time. Later.